All right, so this week, it's been a very busy week for you. Commissioner Counselor Diane Collier-Eckhart, after speaking privately with some aggrieved female officers, stated publicly that police HR should be dissolved, I guess, and managed by the city. So essentially moving HR control from the CPS and basically plopping it right down to city HR. Is that a feasible idea? And really, does it have any merit from your perspective?
Well, I mean,
So you kind of see where she's coming from a little. Right?
well, I understand her sentiment or comment, but no, it's not. We have policing is purposely built to have a legislated barrier between us and the political life of the city. So we're structured as if to answer a commission, so we don't answer directly to council and cities. So politics don't influence with the nature of policing. So we don't get moved around for political influence, basically. So no, it doesn't have particular merit. I understand the sentiment. I understand what she's getting at. She simply wants an HR process that evolves with the needs of our employee base.
Is there a middle ground there?
Oh yeah.
Something that has to change in the interim. I mean, what do you think?
We work with the commission and the council and commission to go over. We meet regularly on subcommittee meetings with our personnel and governance committees, and we talk about all our HR processes and all the things that we are doing, and also inform them of our risks and our the things that have gone wrong. And so they provide that oversight to us to make sure that model is the one that presents the best opportunity for us moving forward. We're heavily entwined with the City of Calgary's LR as it is. They work with us in all our negotiations, our grievances. We work with them even in their other programs they offer, because we also have civilian employees in the organization who are directly tied to the city. So we have a very, very good relationship with them, but it is the oversight role of the Commission to make sure we are executing that to the best we can.
As with any urban center facing economic challenges, such as our city, crime has been a bit higher these past years, especially property crime and obviously domestic violence as well, unfortunately. Does the Calgary Police Service have the resources required to combat our current crime levels effectively?
Yes.
Yeah? You feel good about that?
It's just when I say that, it's not quite as simple as that. The crime trends and the issues that play in this community are far surpassing the resources of the city as a whole. I mean, not just policing, just about any sort of resource in the province. The city is being heavily challenged by what we're facing. When you have these low economic times, faced with new drug addictions and mental health issues, crime trends that are attached to that, the calls for service are rising because of it. It does challenge us, but the goal is this, is to come in and not ask the city or the government for more money. It's not fair in this environment to say just give us more money. Reorganize the service, reorganize our structure and our people so we can focus on things better and we can work more together on issues as opposed to work on too many other disparate items. So by doing that, we're showing some downtrending in some crime terms. We're really working closely on the root cause of crime, making sure we're putting the right people in jail that need to be in jail and doing the things that make a difference. It just takes some time to turn the tide now. So I think we're seeing some positive signs around turning the tide, but it's based on more innovative ways to deploy the people we have. The risk is, like you can see, is that it's exhausting the service at times, but we are working through it. We are a responsible part of government as well, and we'll make sure that we're not just asking for more all the time.
So, which I think is commendable. I mean, if we could have more institutions operate under a similar pretense, trying to just restructure to save a few bucks, I think we go a long way as a community. How do you gauge your success in that avenue? Is it kind of too early to say, or are things moving kind of the way you'd hope they would?
One of the big things is to be evidence-based, right? Is to make sure that the work you're doing is actually targeted and making a difference. So really sort of asked our analytical team, our intelligence team to make sure we know what we're working on and know what our goals are so we can measure it along the way. Because the question is, I pose to them, how do we know we're doing the right things? How do we know they're targeting the right issues? Look at our gang problems from last year, for instance, and we put that whole model to play over that gang problem. Understand the issues, use your intelligence, redeploy all your resources, focus them, and solve those gang problems suppressed. So if you think about what it's like this time last year, we were really in the midst of some really difficult gang wars, and that was just through reorganization, innovative ways of deploying, and focusing on the right people.
Fentanyl continues to be the scourge of our streets. Dealers nowadays are cutting recreational drugs, so anything from cocaine, methamphetamine, MDMA, they're cutting it with fentanyl. Of course, now we see the car fentanyl that's made its way to Alberta. It's actually a really terrifying substance to be on city streets. How has the strategy to remove fentanyl off our streets evolved over this past year as we've seen things kind of spike?
Well, it's still a very maddening issue for us all. I think if you look at the one contributing factor to social disorder in the city, it's going to be centered around both methamphetamine and fentanyl. Fentanyl brings with it that public health crisis around the numbers of people that are dying in the community from the use of it. Methamphetamine brings on, both of them are powerfully addictive drugs. They have different behavior characteristics with them, but they're causing problems in the city. And so taking out the drugs as your only strategy is very unsuccessful. If your only goal is to take off the supply chain, you tend to have a very high needs with the addict community, and you've choked the supply down. You end up driving the price up and creating more crime on the other side. So our real big lift this year has been trying to get the province together and all the programs together to say we need more focus on addiction treatments, lower the demand while we're lowering the supply side, and see if we can make some changes that way.
It's unrealistic to think that we'll ever rid the streets of a drug like fentanyl, isn't it?
Well, it's hard. I mean, when you have when you think about addicts, people often think about an addict community. There's an area downtown where all these addicts live, but it's all over the city, and it's affecting all ranges of ages, from teenagers to elderly people, and it has some link to overprescribing drugs, and there's different issues at play there. But you're right, it's difficult. It's you need this. You need the beds and the treatments and the opportunities for people to lower the need for this addiction, and that's difficult work. It's doable. It's something this province wants to do, but it's going to take some time. Once these drugs hit the street, like you described, now our focus is to get those people the supports they need.
We had done a show a few weeks ago on the fentanyl crisis in Alberta, and we had, of course, Liberal Party leader David Swan was on the program, an MD in his own right, and he's actually calling for a province-wide health emergency, just like BC has done. We haven't seen it here, but it sounds like you're probably aligned with that as well. It needs to happen to get some of that data out to really combat this problem on a treatment level, first and foremost.
Mr. Swan was front and center around a really sort of brilliant document of what this province needs around addiction and mental health treatments. And I think that format, what he's laid out, to me, is the way forward. The challenge is, as always, it is resources and capacity, but I think he's authored an opportunity for us to get healthier moving forward. What you don't want to see in any community is to be so entrenched that you can't get out of it.
No, that's right.
We all know areas of some cities in the country where they have that feature, and it's sad to see that.
Yeah, that's true. Folks, we're going to jump to our final rant pack speaker. Stay with us.
I'm a fan of the Calgary Police Service, I have to say, in a general way. And one thing that really bothers me with these two polls that have come out that seem to be competing pretty vastly is that the police service has identified itself as quite popular with the public, whereas the media has identified CPS as not popular with the public. And not to slam the media, as we're here in the media, but I feel that there is a drive in the media to eyes and ears, and some stories grab a lot of eyes and ears, one of those being police brutality and shootings and that kind of thing. And I guess I am suspicious of the low popularity rating that the media discovered, because it potentially may found news stories that don't cast our CPS in a good light. It is a fact that there is a number of great police officers in our CPS, and yes, there are bad police officers in all services, but I think it behooves the media to be careful how they cast those stories so as not to cause the public fear.
Before I get you to comment on the media, we're talking about fentanyl just before the break. Do you support mandatory minimum sentences for fentanyl dealers? Not users, but dealers.
You know what, the dealers, particularly those people who are dealing dangerous drugs like fentanyl and methamphetamine, they deserve the wrath of the courts when they're presented to the courts. I'm not necessarily sure that minimum sentences arguably do what people think they do at the end of the day. I just want to make sure that we our best foot forward, the justice system is able to deal with them properly and understand the seriousness of what they're doing. When you're dealing fentanyl, you're very likely you're going to be dealing somebody's death.
You're going to kill somebody.
Yeah, and that's highly dangerous, and hopefully we're going to start seeing sentences that reflect that.
Yeah, let's hope so. Julie touched on media bias lately. Are you getting a fair shake? Is the CPS getting a fair shake from local media this past, 6 weeks?
You know what, I've offered Calgary media every opportunity to be open and fair and transparent with them, to communicate more to them. Yeah. And I'd say by and large I do get a fair shake, and the service gets a fair shake from them. Some stories get a little unbalanced, but arguably speaking, if you strip away some of the really negative stories, by and large the media is objective here, and they want to tell the right story. There's no value in the divisiveness of some of these stories. Trying to separate the community from the police service is not healthy for anybody, and most media outlets here really sort of get that.
That's a good answer. I think that's probably fair. That's probably how it is from my perspective as well. I'd be remiss not to touch on this. Body-worn cameras. This was a plan that was enacted a little while ago. The hope was to have every officer in Calgary don a body-worn camera by 2017. Looks like that's probably not going to happen. Real quick, where are we at with that? Any timeline?
Unfortunately, the product that we purchased didn't work. It didn't work for us. It became a problem, and so we've had to move on from that particular product and start another one. So yes, we are well within the process to acquire again. When you acquire expensive products with the city or the province, you have to go through an RFP process, and it's a bit longer than what the public may expect is normal. But we would expect by July or the summer of 2017 we'll have the new products in our hands. The nice thing is all our policies and training, everything's already developed. The rollout piece will be a lot faster than it was last time. And so we would anticipate this will be a delay. It's unfortunate, but long term we'll get the products we want, a product that works and supports the community and the membership, and it'll be long term, it'll be a good story.
Again, with the transparency, it's a good thing. That's all the time, sir. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Folks, that's all the time we have for this evening. As per usual, you can get at us. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. If you have a show topic idea, want to start a conversation, don't be a stranger. Until next time, take care.